Alright, what's up guys? So this is a video that I know I've had a lot of people ask me because normally whenever I do like build videos or gearing videos or things like that, like the video I released yesterday, normally what I'll do is I'll show like really good gear that's like, it's pretty much BIS, right? And a lot of people, obviously, I'm aware that even though they're watching my videos, they're not necessarily gonna come into contact with those, levels of gear, with that amount of money to get that level of gear. So a lot of people, they end up asking me like, hey, what should I run for low gear, or, Squire gear, that type of thing. And I thought something that'd be really cool is what if I showed you guys how to build gear sets like that? Well, obviously not like that, but building that, towards that idea of gear, but on a budget, right? So as you see here, I have 1,000 gold in one bag. That's all I'm going to use. This is going to be my entire budget, and I'm going to try my best to build an entire kit with 1,000 gold. Obviously, this is not going to be a good kit by any means. This is just going to be a very basic kit, because I feel like whenever people start trying to build, like if you're trying to build a gear set, 1,000 gold, early on, that's still a decent amount of money. Obviously, late game, 1,000 gold, hardly anything. However, if you're just starting out in the game and you're trying to get some gear, 1,000 gold could be a pretty big difference. To start off, I will say there's going to be a few things. So, for example, let's see, my base gear, I'm going to be going for a normal sword and shield build. And one thing that I will be doing, most likely, is I probably will not buy a shield. I will probably keep the base kit shield. With that being said, most of my other gear will probably be green. Maybe a few blues in there. I'm really not sure, truthfully speaking. I have not tested this. This is literally going to be my first time. I'm not sure I can build a kit that's even remotely decent on 1,000 gold. We are going to try, but yeah. That being said, let's jump right into it. So to start things off, I think whenever you're building on a budget like this, which is pretty much what I'm going to call this video, whenever you're building on a budget, the number one thing that you have to do is you have to decide what stats you're going to give up, because you cannot have all the stats you want. You don't have enough gold to do it, obviously. So what do you want? And by my thought process, most of the time you're going to have to give up probably 3 or 4 stats. So really, you're only going to focus 2 stats. For that reason, what I'm going to go for first is a Fine Cuirass. I'm just going to accept that I'm not going to have a Dark Plate. I'm going to go for a Fine Cuirass. We're going to go for probably the cheapest thing we can. That is not a common. Ideally, we get an uncommon one. These are like 100 gold, so kind of iffy on this. This is about a tenth of my gold I'd be spending on just a Fine Cuirass. And like I said, most of the rolls are pretty much irrelevant. I'm just going to look here. Like I said, I'm not going too crazy here. None of these are very good. You could even make, look for something else, like a Regal Gambison, truthfully speaking. Like, you could do it for a Regal Gambison. These are still relatively expensive, and these give less stats, so probably not the greatest idea. I mean, spending a little bit less gold to get something like a Regal Gambison, not really worth it. Heavy Gambison, however, could be an option, so I'm going to look at that as well. These are much cheaper, and these are also just better than the Regal. So, for example, something like this right here. Also, at low gear level, that move speed is pretty important. So I'm kind of just torn between, I could take this one right here because it says max health bonus, or I take this take a green Fine Cuirass. The big thing is I would be spending less money. I'm pretty much deciding between, do I want the HP or do I want the armor, which also maintains the move speed. And I'm thinking I think for like a new player build, the most effective thing to do would be take the Fine Cuirass. So I'm probably just going to take this really cheap Fine Cuirass here, right? 90 gold, 910 left. All right, following that up, we're going to look for just HP. So we're going to go for heavy leather leggings. Once again, go for uncommon. And you see these are super cheap here. Really cheap. Any good stats here? Look for primarily armor or MDR or max health bonus is something I'm looking for. So I will probably take this right here, just max HP. 45 gold, 865 remaining. We're up to 20 Vig. Also, I'm going to remove all my skins just for, all intents and purposes. Assumes they have no skins, remove all my skins. Actually, something I will consider here is what you could do is you could absolutely run Lycan, because look how much HP this gives me. I go from 125 to 132, and Lycan's a skin everyone has access to, relatively speaking. You can just go to the shop and you can buy it right here for 5 blue or 5 red shards. So this is definitely, it's not locked behind any, walls like Nightmare Skeleton or Ice Skeleton or any of that. This is something anyone can do, so I probably will run this. You definitely could afford not to. However, if you do run this, it gives you so many free points, because this is effectively giving you a blue rarity helmets without actually, spending money on one. Then, following up, I'm just going to go for rugged boots, because like I mentioned before, I'm just going to try to HP stack as much as possible. These are relatively cheap, and because I'm running the Lycan, I can maybe try to get a little crazy here. Go for some move speed on them or something. I probably don't need double move speed, obviously, or I can't get double move speed. It's one roll. Maybe go a little crazy here and get a little move speed on these because having move speed is always nice. 4 move speed ruggeds for 65 gold. That's a steal. Slap these on. 136 HP, still 800 gold remaining. And now, jewelry is probably going to be the last thing. I'm going to go for the armor and the weapon first. Like my bow will either end up being a junk, like a trash rarity one, like I get for my squire, or just like a common or green one, whatever I can find that's really cheap. Because you don't really want to spend money on something you're not going to be using for the most part. Like if you spend money on your armor or your melee weapon, I guess not even necessarily melee weapon, but your armor is something that no matter what, you're going to be giving value because you're going to be taking damage, you know, and this is going to be like the main thing that's stopping you, right? Like you don't want to be spending money on something that you're not getting a lot of use out of. Especially, I think for newer players, one thing that they not necessarily struggle with, but one thing that happens is pretty often they forget they even have a second weapon, so they don't really swap to it. So you don't want to be spending your limited funds on a weapon that is going to give you a very small benefit. Like for example, like let's say, you know, I was go look at a crossbow. Like let's say, you know, let's just look at common, right? A common rarity crossbow is 38 damage, an uncommon one is 40. I mean, an uncommon one's unironically cheaper, so, you know, 40 gold on a common rarity crossbow, definitely not bad. But moving along, we're going to go for our weapon here, and we are going to try to go a little crazy on the weapon, maybe go for a blue falchion, which is going to cost us a little bit more. Hell, we could even look at a purple one. You could even get really insane. Look at that, 100 gold for a weapon damage max health bonus purple falchion. Yes, please. That's right there is great. So and the thing is, spending gold on a weapon is one of the most valuable things. It's one of the best places to deposit your gold into, just because this is, like I said, this is going to be the main damage dealer. Like having all this armor is completely irrelevant if you can't kill the person you're fighting, right? Like, yeah, it might take them a while to kill you, but if you're doing no damage back, then it doesn't really matter. And if you can get good money in this, then it's nice. However, one thing you do want to notice that you need to look towards, if you're trying to stay in those under certain gear score brackets, think like the 125 gear score bracket, you are going to need to downgrade your armor or your weapon a bit. This is where using junk rarity items comes in from the squire, or using these skins like Lichen to be able to forego a piece of gear. Or, you know, you could drop down to a blue shield here, but we're just going to keep going along and go for reinforced gloves, because once again, HP is good. And we're going to try to stay on green, look for anything that has health on it maybe. So just search for HP. Instead of that, search for HP bonus, because these are a little bit more expensive. Because once again, we are trying to keep this as cheap as physically possible, so we're just going to go for these 50 gold ones. And this puts us up to 109 gear score, 142 HP, 96.9% move speed. And then if you want to move on here, what you can do is you can go for rings, a helmet, you can go for a cape, you can upgrade your heater shield. What I'm going to do is, because the thing is, I'm not necessarily trying to stay under a gear score here, so I'm probably going to look for rings after this. And the easiest way to do this is super cheap vitality rings, because I'm pretty sure rings are just like super cheap. Yeah, like these are all pretty cheap. Greens you can all get for like under 100 gold. And I'm not sure how expensive the blue ones are. Maybe they're a little more expensive. Yeah, these are, yeah, you're definitely not going for blue ones. We're just going to go for green ones. Try to search for HP on them if we can, see how expensive these are. 130 gold, way out of our price range. Maybe max health bonus? More reasonable. We still have 650 gold, so we can go a little crazy here. Buy 2 HP rings. And like I said, if you are trying to stay in that under that 125 gear score bracket, what you would do here is you would swap this off, buy like a blue falchion or something, and that would keep you under, and you could run this as a kit right here, and that would be perfectly fine. You could also swap this right here off, go for that Gambeson that I mentioned earlier, and if you would, I mean, you would lose a small amount of PDR, but you would gain a decent amount of move speed. Let's just go look at the heavy Gambeson just to know. So this is minus 11, this is minus 18, so that would give you about 2% move speed. So if you're trying to stay in an like a low gear score bracket, this certainly is a good option. We're just going to buy this one just to look. That's 50 gold. We're just going to take that out of the cut later. So as you see here, the PDR difference really isn't that much if you're not going to wear full plate, and the move speed is pretty high. So honestly, this is probably your best option here. The MR doesn't change too much, so yeah. Other than this, once again, like I said, if you want to stay under that bracket, you would go for a blue falchion. But if you're not trying to stay under the bracket and you're just trying to build a kit after this, go for a cape. Oh, my bad. Vigilant cape. Just go for rare. Obviously, this is going to be a bit more expensive because capes are relatively pricey. But 100 gold, we're still well within our budget, 320 gold. And then lastly, we're just going to go for a necklace of peace because we're just trying to stack HP. Because HP is one of the most valuable stats in the game. And look for max health bonus, and we can get a green max health bonus one for 70 gold. This one down here is 99 gold, so we could go for this. Get a little bit more pricey. and we're at 160 HP, 296 move speed. Our PDR is super low, and so is our Fizz power bonus. But for a kit we've spent not even 800 gold on, just slightly, what, counting the 50 gold out for this, we've spent, what, 727 gold, and we are now at 160 HP with a purple falchion. And like I said, yeah, we are going above that gear score bracket. However, if you're going high roller or something, or if you just don't really care, then that is what it is. But like I mentioned before, the weapon's the easiest way to swap off, and with our remaining gold, we can go for either a bow or we can go for a crossbow. Really, it's just up for you. I know a lot of people play solos, so let's go for a survival bow, because survival bow is probably the best weapon to use in solos. And then we're just gonna go uncommon. See how expensive it is. Go for rare. These are slightly more expensive, but it's not really that big a deal. And none of the rolls really matter on this, so we can just go for an 80 gold one, get Fizz power buff duration. That is 143 gold remaining, and with our remaining gold, what we are going to do is buy some meds. Buy 2 stacks of these, 2 stacks of these, and we have our starter campfire, we have starter arrows, silver powder, don't worry about that, and we have 77 gold remaining. Really, it's 122 because I bought this Fine Curious. Actually, I can just go vendor this. It doesn't vendor for anything, not worth it. And so yeah, with less than 1,000 gold, this is the kit that I built right here. Obviously, like I said, the stats are going to be incredibly skewed. And here, just for purposes, we're just going to transfer over a 50 gold bag, just because it annoys me not having the exact amount. And I'm gonna try to maximize the value out of my gold here. And then let's put this in here. All right, so put this, so 127 gold, put that in there. All right, so we have 127 gold. We have an okay amount of meds. You could buy more, or what you could do is, I don't know exactly how expensive surgical kits are. Yeah, they're a little bit out of our price range, so you're probably not. You could take in a surge kit in theory. They're literally just, you just barely have enough to take in a surge here. You don't necessarily need one. You could also look for maybe protection potions. I'm not sure how expensive they are. Just look around, see what you can make most of. You could take in gray ones, although you really don't want to because these things are pretty much useless. Maybe if we're lucky, we could find some cheap uncommon ones. Nope, we can't. They're way too expensive. You could probably scroll and see people selling individuals, in which case you'd be able to buy like one, and one protection potion could turn an entire fight. If you find, oh, yep, like right here, you could buy one for like 100 gold. Or like I said, you could buy a surge kit if you find one within your price range, which is perfectly acceptable. And I'm not sure, honestly, wait, what do people even sell these for? Yeah, you're not going to be able to buy the meds for them. So overall, this is probably what you're going to end up running. Like I said, if you don't have the lichen, like, let's just assume you don't have it. We have 127 gold remaining. We could always go and just buy, like, let's think, a Hound Skull, for example. Let's go see a Hound Skull. And go rare. And then right here, 90 gold, you can buy Hound Skull. It is going to make you a little bit slower, but, it's not going to be the end of the world. Or you can run a leather cap, which is probably a bit pricier. Oh, wow, it's actually cheaper. Maybe if you're lucky, you can find some, like, an okay rolled one that has, like, max health right here. Yep. And this right here is going to be slightly better than the Lycan. As you see, it's literally 1 HP more just because of the 0.6 max health bonus. But you do lose some move speed. So if you don't have the Lycan, you can like run a cap like this. If you do, obviously you can just put it on. Or you can run something like Frost Skeleton or Nightmare Skeleton if you have it. But anyways, this is going to be, this is going to be the build. Like I said, there are some things you could change around here. If you have a bit more money or a bit less money, you can downgrade on some items. And, it's not going to be exact because finding, like, a falchion like this for as cheap as I did is kind of a steal. Most of the other purple falchions are all going to be pretty bad, probably. Like, getting one at that load, but, I mean, that's just the market, right? Yeah. I mean, these are, like, 42, but, I mean, these are slightly more expensive, but these are slightly better, like this one right here, because this one's 2 max health at 41 damage, whereas this one is 1 weapon damage, 0.5 max health. So, I would have spent a slightly more gold on that one while getting slightly better stats. But anyways, this is going to wrap it up for the video. If you guys like this type of thing and, you want to see me run this build, just, comment it down below, and I will keep this build here until after I see some comments. If you guys want me to run it, I can do this. If you want to see more videos like this, that's like either building on a budget or, low tier gearing up, that type of thing, or even, just higher budgets, like, 5,000 gold or 10,000 or however much, feel free to comment down below and let me know. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back next time. Peace.